The year is 1971. Not right now, I mean in the story. A man hijacked and jumped out of an airplane with a stolen $200,000. To this day, the FBI couldn't identify the man, and not only the identity remained a mystery, but also whether he survived the jump. It all began on the afternoon of November 24th, 1971. A man, identifying himself as Dan Cooper, purchased a one-way ticket at Portland International Airport. He was booked to take a 30-minute flight on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 to Seattle, Washington. Cooper was wearing a dark suit, a white shirt, and a black raincoat. He was like one of the many ordinary people at the airport. There was nothing about him to suggest what was about to unfold. On board, Cooper sat in the middle of the last row seats and ordered a bourbon. Shortly after takeoff, he handed a note to one of the flight attendants, but the stewardess initially ignored it. "Miss, you would better look at that note. I have a bomb." "Shit. There is a bomb in my briefcase. I want $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the plane." "That's all good, but can you show me the bomb?" Cooper told her to pass on his demands to the cockpit, then return and sit quietly next to him. The pilots notified the air traffic control and the message was forwarded to the ground crew. The airline agreed to Cooper's demands without hesitation, because their top priority was passenger safety. The plane circled for about 2 hours to give Seattle authorities time to gather the money and parachutes. Meanwhile, the crew informed the passengers. "Hello everyone, so there is a minor technical problem. No worries, there is no bomb on the plane or something like that. Sorry boys, forgot to mention, please try to not get in touch with the guy in the back of the airplane, he looks sus." This was good, nobody suspect anything. Yeah. And this could have happened. But surprisingly, none of them suspected that they were part of a hijacking. Everyone remained calm. At approximately 5:40 p.m., they landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. By this time, the FBI had already obtained the $200,000 cash and the 4 parachutes. The passengers were allowed to leave, but Cooper kept several crew members on board. The exchange was smooth, and just to let you know, when someone demands a ransom, the authorities typically provide money with unique, pre-recorded serial numbers, so it can be tracked if the bills are spent or recovered. But first, Cooper tracked the money and the parachutes before allowing the ground crew to refuel the plane. Then he instructed the pilots to fly at the slowest possible speed and at a low altitude of 10,000 feet towards Mexico City. Most importantly, he demanded that the plane must fly with the rear exit door lowered and the cabin must remain unpressurized. At around 7:40 p.m., the plane finally took off. Cooper told the crew to stay in the cockpit and keep the door closed. Then he put one of the parachutes, tied the bank bag around his waist and lowered the rear stair. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, Cooper jumped into the cold, rainy night from an altitude of 10,000 feet. And since everyone was locked in the cockpit, nobody knew the exact time and location of his jump. Cooper was gone forever. Or maybe not. When the plane landed, law enforcement boarded it, but Cooper was nowhere to be found. The only trace left behind were the black tie he had been wearing, which later provided DNA, though no matches have ever been made. A massive manhunt began, where the FBI has launched one of the most large-scale and expensive investigations in the history. "Cooper, you are in trouble," they thought. But they couldn't be further from the truth. Hundreds of evidence have been followed and they had interviewed thousands of people. However, Cooper was never found, the parachutes disappeared and the money was never found either, which led to the following theory. Cooper either died during the jump or successfully escaped. For nearly a decade, nothing really happened, but in 1980, while an 8-year-old boy digging a fire pit, he found around $6,000 worth of rotting banknotes. The boy's parents remembered D.B. Cooper's case and sent the money to the FBI. The FBI checked the serial number, and it matched with the ransom money. Finally there was something, however no further traces of Cooper or the remaining money were ever found. But as the years passed, many theories came to life. Sam says that he died in a jump because of the bad conditions. When Cooper jumped, there was low visibility, high winds, freezing temperatures, and he jumped into a massive, dense forest. Moreover, experts said that Cooper didn't seem to be fully prepared for such a jump, as he wore only a business suit. But on the other hand, because his body was never found, others believe that Cooper survived the jump and went on to live a quiet life. Over the years, the FBI said many times that they finally caught Cooper. Among the most famous suspects was Richard Floyd McCoy, a man who hijacked an almost identical plane a few months later, demanded $500,000 and a parachute. But after a while, the idea was discarded because of the difference in his appearance. Then, in 1995, Duane Weber came into the spotlight. Shortly before his death, he told his wife, "Look at me. I am Dan Cooper."
What the fuck?
After Weber's death, his wife looked through his personal belongings and found a Northwest Orient Airlines ticket and a notebook with handwriting similar to that on the ransom note. Further investigation showed that Weber had told people he had knee injuries from jumping out of a plane. However, he was ruled out by DNA testing. And by the way, did I mention that DB Cooper, the name, was just a media creation? The hijacker bought his ticket under the alias Dan Cooper, and in the early investigation, a reporter mistook his name for a man named DB Cooper, and the name stuck in the public domain. To this day, the FBI has not officially closed the case, although in July 2016, after 45 years of investigation, they announced that they stopped actively following leads and reallocate their resources to more priority cases. The case remains unsolved, and whether Cooper survived or died remains one of the biggest mysteries.